Ladies and gents, welcome. My name's Wasmatic. Welcome to the channel and another Dual Universe video. A bit different one this time. I'm not talking necessarily about industrial design processes or anything like that. What I'm going to talk about is how I make millions, let's say millions a week, probably making between 400 and 700,000 quanta a day. Not huge amounts, but I was doing this very early in the game. So I've been following this process, and I've been doing it only every 2 or 3 days for about a week now, because the game's been out for a week. I didn't start this until last week. I'm now at 4.4 million quanta. I haven't spent anything, so but that's how much money I've made. So I've made about 4.2 million. Here's how I do it. Okay, things you're going to need to be able to do this. First off, you're going to need to do a little bit of skill training, and I will show you exactly the bits that you need. First and foremost, you need uncommon or refining. Okay, and what you want is to get these sodium, calcium, chromium and copper as high as you possibly can get them, and also pure refinery efficiency. So if you want to be quick about making it, then take that. If you're not that bothered and you can't afford too much time for your talents, then just take these. Okay, now this is something you can do on the side. You don't have to have these skills, but they're handy to have. They significantly increase the amount of fuel that you can make for the amount of ore that you gather. And that's quite important for the method that I am going to show you now, because I do this on Sanctuary. I only do this on Sanctuary, and I only do it from harvesting from the surface. I don't mine, and I can still make good money. So you've got those skills. And the next skills you want are, you want fuel refining first and foremost. You want fuel refinery first and foremost, which again reduces the amount of input material you need for the actual refining process. So you've got the refining of the ore, making that as efficient as possible, and then you've got the refining of the fuel. You want to make that as efficient as possible. So in that same vein, you want space fuel. Now this is how I do it. You could try atmospheric and rocket if you like. The choice is up to you, but I go for space fuel, and I am bumping my points into space fuel refinery. Nice to have. We'll do space fuel productivity as well, so that increases your productivity again. So I've put points into this. I am training them somewhere. I'm doing more uncommon ore refining, space fuel refining. This is my little money spinner, and I'm happy to share it because I'll always find another. Then what you need is as big a container as possible that you can get for the input. And I'm going to drag this over here so you can see where it sits in the process. It's a really simple process. You don't need to invest a lot of time in making the process. It's very simple. You can actually do it with 1, 2, 3 containers and 2 industrial units. So if you want to do the simple way, have 1 container. Now this container should be the biggest that you can afford. Okay, I'm using a large. You could use a medium or a small, whatever works for you, but I'll tell you why. There's a reason for that, and this particularly being the biggest container. And then the second biggest container you want is this, because this is going to be the output. It's going to be the product. Okay, you want 1 refiner, and you want to set up that refiner running at least 1 tier 2 ore non-stop. I maintain 300. Okay, so I've got that running constantly. Maintaining means it's keeping 300 litres in here, or it's trying to. And then if you have more refiners and you want to do maybe 1 for chromium and 1 for limestone, for example, do that as well. And the more refiners you have, the more chemical industrial units you can have, and the greater your productivity of the fuel. So ore goes into there, refiner turns that into the tier 2 pure product, and that feeds it into here. Now here's the important bit. Let me show you this. If I stop that, it's not running anyway, but if I stop that, you look here, it says if I put 40 litres of copper in, I get 100 litres out. But because of the training that we've done and the efficiencies that we get, if I click start, it actually shows me the reality, which is 33.49 litres in, less, not 40, but 33. So I'm using less and I'm getting more out. Now the further up you train, that's going to get lower, that's going to get higher. Likewise, for your refining, if I stop this, so that's 59.15 currently in, and 47 litres out. And that stops. You can see the default is 65 and 45. So I'm actually creating efficiencies at the first part of the process. They're putting less in, getting more out. And again here. Right, so you've got that process all together. You've got your containers. It's all linked up. Yes, jolly good. Ignore those for now. They're different part of the process. Set them all running. Set this to maintain. If you only have a small container in the middle, set them to maintain a certain amount. You can have 4 refiners, 4 chemical industrial units. If you have 4 of each, you can refine 1 of each type of tier 2 ore and refine 1 of each type of fuel. Kurgan X1, X2, X3 and X4. Next thing, here's the boring bit, but here's the clever bit as well. I find if I go away and I jump on a ship and I go off to Alioth and I mine, I actually am slower at gathering the materials than if I just hand gather on Sanctuary, because on Sanctuary, I'm going to find something very specific here. On Sanctuary, when you harvest from the surface with your harvest tool, and bear in mind we're talking about doing this early game, you get repops. So straight away, look, bang, we've got a tier 2 there. So harvest that. What you also want to do is the largest container you can afford at the front of your process, make that linked, link to it here in your inventory. So click that little button and then anything that you harvest goes in there. And what you want to do, as much time as you can afford or you are prepared to spend, gather everything. So that was a tier 2, that's a tier 1, this is a tier 1, that's another tier 1, that's quartz, got another tier 2 here. Now the reason that you do this harvest is just keep going. If you can only afford 20 minutes a day, then do 20 minutes a day. If you can afford to do an hour a day, however long you're prepared to do it to make the money. And this is constantly feeding that large container. Now your industry, there's tier 2 again, more tier 2 up there to the right in green, and more in front of me here. So your industry is set up that every time you get some tier 2 and you get it to, for me, what was it, 59.15 litres. Once I put 59.15 litres of tier 2 into, and there's another tier 2 there, into that large container, my refinery will start, and then that will push the entire process through. But the reason that you gather the tier 1 as well is because you want the respawns. What happens on Sanctuary when you're gathering ore like this is once you gather a certain amount from a certain section of your hex, they'll repop. So I have actually stood in one location for an hour and just constantly farmed in like a 10-meter radius at diameter. Just one location. There's more tier 2 there. And you just keep going, and it just keeps feeding the process. There you go. You see the repops then. But I just keep going. You can just keep gathering. And for me, sometimes I've spent an hour and a half at tier 2. Is that chromite? No. I've spent an hour and a half looking for an ore vein. Now I'm just constantly sticking 20 litres, 20 litres, 20 litres. Will this work end game? Absolutely not. You know, you're going to need hundreds of thousands of litres of material to really be sort of making good money. But early stages in the game, you just keep going. Is that more tier 2 somewhere? Yep. Tier 2 here. Or tier 2 at the back. So there you go. You keep doing that, and then your process will pick it up and it will make the fuel. So great, you have the fuel. How do you make the money? This is the really, it's not really clever. Playing the markets is what it's about. So you will open your markets by pressing J. Stick in Kurgan. Now I have a contract at the moment for somebody to deliver me 28,200 litres of Natron, which makes X2 Kurgan. So if we search for that, Kurgan X2, and you look at the prices and go, whoa, 25 per unit is ludicrously cheap, but they're only selling 200. 30 for 1,000. I just sold some. These are very low prices, and this way you need to be a bit clever. Sort the market by market and then start to scroll down. So people are selling on Sanctuary for 20, 30, 40, 50, 25, 30, 50, 65. They're selling low, right? And they're selling low to shift. What I do is I search by the market, and if you look on Alioth, which is essentially the starting planet, and I'm on District 4 at the moment where I'm selling, okay? District 4. So we look at the prices on District 4. 216, 218, 224. Those yellow ones are mine. 216, 228, 227, 216. Sorry, on to District 5. So every other price in the district that I'm selling is over 200. Now, making the millions. Let me bring in my spreadsheet. Yeah, I've geeked out and made a tiny little spreadsheet. Here we go. So, this is the contract that I have going at the moment to bring me 28,200 litres. Change that, say in litres. 28,200, and the reason I keep it like that, not kilolitres, is because I'm working everything through in litre prices. So the contract is delivered 28,200 litres at 80 units a litre, which is a total cost delivered to me of 2.256 million. My refining efficiencies mean that I only need to put 59.15 in and I get 47.7 out. So in total, I get the sodium bars from the Natron, I get 22,741.2 litres. Okay, so then when I put it into the chemical unit, my efficiencies are brilliant because I go down from 45 units needed to 33.9, and instead of making 100, I make 115. So I put in that amount of sodium, I get that much out. The total fuel that I will make is 78,090. It's basically this number divided by that times that. Okay, and then I put in my sale price. Now, if I was to put in a sale price that they're selling on Sanctuary, for example, let's say 30, I'll make 86,700, which is not worth me doing. But I'm selling at 199, so I've spent 2.2 million. Remember, 199. I'm selling, the total value of the sale is 15.5 million, and I'm making myself 13.2 million. Now the problem I have at the moment is I don't have a cargo hauler, so I can't shift large quantities, but as soon as I can start putting them on the markets, I'm going to spread bet the market, so I'm going to spread them out over the different districts. But there's your money. That's how you make the money. But, right? Happy to make this spreadsheet available for anyone who wants to see it. This is an early game money making method. It will not work long term and end game. You will need to, I'll find something else as I go through the game, I'm sure. That is how I do it at the moment. But the tier 1 ore that you've gathered, we need to look at what we're using that for. And this comes down to whether you are an industrialist and whether you want to then take that ore and use it a stage further. And I will show you what I'm doing with it, because I'm actually making money off the side from this process. So let's go into build mode. Let's go into press number 6 for the links. Look how pretty that is. She's so pretty. Okay, so that now has the tier 1 ore in. So I've actually got a couple of these just churning out some tier 1 at the moment. I can get down low enough to... That's doing silicon. That's doing aluminium. Okay, that's feeding this. That's feeding the smelters. The smelters are making steel and silicon and alloys. Okay, now what I've been doing, this is really easy. Really easy. I mean, it's so easy to make. I don't have any skill points in assembly, by the way, so I'm doing this just as a standard player. Let's say we do refine, right? Refiner. Refiner M needs basic pipes, basic power systems, basic chemical container, and a reinforced frame. So what I've done is I actually have 4 metal workers. I have these 3 metal workers that are pumping into here, which also can feed that. I'll have 1 metal worker making the frames, 1 making the container, and 1 making the pipes. And then the 2 containers, that's 1 output container, and then that output container can go into there for making secondary level components, and then that goes into there, which goes into these assemblers. Okay, so you've got the metalwork bit covered. Basic power systems need alloys and basic connectors. So what you need is 2 electronics factories, and you make what did I say? Sorry. Right, so I'm making something else at the moment. You have one of the smelters making the AlFe alloy, okay, and that pushes out into this container. Then you have this making the connectors. It's not making it at the moment because I'm making something else. This makes the connectors for the power systems, and then that feeds into this machine, which makes the power systems. Okay, And you set that on to maintain, and you put that in these containers, and then you set this to make your refiner. Right, now here's the other little trick. I just sell these. I do it because I have the tier 1 ore, and these are completely made from tier 1. So yes, all the resources you need. What you could do it with one metal worker making 36 pipes, switch it off, then have it make the chemical container. This, the basic screws, you can have, if you have two metal workers, you can have this making the screws and then feeding into there, which feeds this one. Anyway, the point is, if you have all this tier 1 ore, even if you just have one smelter, one container, one metal worker, and then one electronics industry, you can still do this. It's just more manual. I just have it all automated. The point is now, if you go back to the market, you could make anything. You could make a chemical industry unit. What are they selling for? 59k. There were some. That's good. There was a lot cheaper ones on there last night. What's the refiner made from? 60k. So you're looking, just by the fact that you're hand gathering tier 1 ore in the process of making fuel, is you're also giving yourself more products to either use or sell. And obviously you need the assembly line M to do it. So there you go. It's kind of that's how I'm making money at the moment. It works really well for me, and I can just run around, gather tier 1 and tier 2 ore, and I don't need to do anything else. It's all running. It's all running. I'm actually, at the moment, I'm making transfer units, but that's for me to boost the factory. So there you go, ladies and gents, how to make millions just by playing around on Sanctuary. I hope you found that useful. I hope you join me in flooding the market with fuel, and then I'll have to go away and find something else to sell, but I don't mind. If you're interested in playing and you don't currently play Dual Universe, please consider using the link in the description below. I am an affiliate partner with NovaQuark, who are developing the game, so that is a legitimate link through to a legitimate sale for NovaQuark, and it helps me in terms of supporting the channel. Thanks very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.